watch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome in to a Friday edition of the JP Peterson Show, brought to you as always by the Jeeves Law Group and Bay Area Modern Medical Center. I'm your host, Nick Yetis, and we've had a great week doing our best to fill the void of JP as he continues his beautiful vacation in Breckenridge. He put some new pictures up on his Facebook and his Instagram. If you haven't seen him, go check him out. It looks beautiful. Always jealous, but we're holding the fort down. Glad to have some new voices. A big thank you again to Jason Powers yesterday for joining me. I hope everybody has enjoyed the discussion. And today we welcome the return of my good friend, Mr. Sean Green of the UCF Charge On podcast, which, by the way, we recorded our latest episode last night. Sean edits all those things, so I believe that's going to go up today around 2. I believe
it should be. I wasn't expecting, Nick just loves having me on so much that I didn't expect to be on for the full show today, but I guess I am. So it should be up around 2. I implore everybody to go check it out, even if you are haters of UCF. But yeah, I'm glad to be back as always. So I appreciate the invite as always.
Yeah, you have an open invite anytime you want. Anytime you want, you know that. But we definitely have a lot to get into. The news doesn't keep stopping. We got the Rays tonight against the Athletics. First pitch 6:40 as they try to continue their historic start to the season, as I said yesterday. The Lightning last night embarrassed in Long Island over there in UBS Arena to the Islanders. We're going to get into that and some big injuries that we have to keep in mind as we get to playoff time. The Bucks introduced Ryan Neal yesterday to the media for the first time. We had the Masters yesterday, which I was glued to my TV set watching, as were you. So we're going to get into that. So much to get into. And, of course, Doug Waechter, Valley Sports Rays, is going to join us at 10:30, and we're going to ask him about what's making this team tick right now. What's the reason why they've gotten off to the start? We're going to talk Jeffrey Springs, what's changed with him, and a host of other things involving your Rays. So we got a good 2 hours for you here on a Friday. And speaking of the Rays, I wanted to open with this today. We didn't have the game yesterday, so no recap, obviously, but the Rays did something pretty cool yesterday, and they sent an email out around 1 o'clock. I got the email, and then they put it on Twitter that for this series against Oakland, offering $10 lower level tickets to go see right now the best team in Major League Baseball. $10. That's all it is. And so for all the people that are saying, oh, it's just the A's, I don't want to go see the A's. What do I need to go there for? There's no draw. Well, the draw, again, is the best team in Major League Baseball. That's the draw, which has some serious star power now, as I said yesterday, with Wander Franco and Randy Arozarena and the Shane McClanahan's of the world, who's not going to pitch in this series, but this staff is right now, for my money, it's the best pitching staff in the league. So to me, the Rays are doing something they haven't done in a long time, and that is trying to make an effort to get people into the building. We know the attendance issues. It's well documented on this show and on other people's shows as well. We know the issues, but there's so much more potential there. And a quick little fix to that is lower the ticket prices. And they did that, to their credit, 2 years ago when people were really pushing for it. They've done it at certain times last year. But just to recap everything they've done, so you got the $10 tickets this weekend against the A's. They came out with the ballpark pass, which a lot of teams around Major League Baseball do, $49 a month for unlimited games. And then the $10 outfield tickets any Monday to Thursday home game as well, which is starting with the Red Sox when they come to the Trop next week. So why are they doing this? Well, it's simple. It's because the Rays are not going anywhere. There's no more discussions about where this team's heading in regards to, it's not going to be Nashville. They're not going to Portland. They're not going to Charlotte, Las Vegas, Montreal. Those things are all dead. They're staying right here in Tampa Bay. We don't know if it's going to be in Pinellas. We don't know if it's going to be in Hillsborough. We'll see. But the Rays are staying here, and I think they've come to the realization of that. And so now they're trying to make an effort to get people to come to the building to see this really good team. And I think that's a great thing. I think that's a great thing because I was there on opening day. I said the atmosphere was probably the best opening day atmosphere that I had honestly been to. And they had the most fans for a 3-game series to open up the season than they've ever had, with just about 65,000. The team has gone on. Sean, I said this stat yesterday. I don't know if you heard it, that the Rays are off to, I said, when I say to a historic start, I'm talking that dates back to 1884. This is the damnedest stat that I've seen so far. They've opened up the season with 6 straight victories, with winning by 4 runs or more. That has not happened since 1884. The St. Louis Maroons.
It's insane.
Still trying to figure out what the St. Louis Maroons are. So it's been historic. So if you're a Rays fan, I don't care where you are. I'm in Lithia. I don't care if you're in Lithia. I don't care if you're in Apollo Beach. I don't care if you're in Lutz or if you're on the Pinellas side. Get to the ballpark. Get to the ballpark and support the team. There's no more excuses now. There's no more excuses. The Rays are handing it on a silver platter for you. Come to the ballpark. Come see this team. And we can argue they should have been doing this years ago, and I'm not going to argue against that. I'm not going to argue against that. But I'm just asking, don't do it. If you don't like the owner, that's fine. Okay? You don't have to like the owner. Love the team. Love the team. The players want to play in a packed house. They want to come back tonight after a really good road trip in Washington and see that place full. Now, is it going to be full in the effect of 20,000 plus? I'd probably venture to say no. But can we get a little bit close? Can we get in that 15 to 20 range tonight and all weekend? I think it'd be great. I mean, there's a lot of people that aren't working today because it's Good Friday. So there should be a lot of opportunities for people to get to the ballpark early because it's 6:40. It's a 6:40 first pitch. Don't remember that because they're starting a little bit earlier now. So it's a good opportunity if you get to the ballpark if you're not working. Tomorrow as well at 4:10. And then if you want to go to the ballpark on Easter, go to the ballpark on Easter on 1 o'clock. So I think it's a great opportunity for the Rays. But my takeaway here is there's now no excuses for you to get to the ballpark. None. I don't want to hear anything anymore about this weekend.
Yeah, no, I think, listen, I'm in a city that has an NBA team, right? And I know for all the years I've lived in Orlando, I've heard all of the horror stories from you and from many Rays fans about it being basically completely empty and nobody showing up to the games because of how expensive the ticket prices have been in the past. I mean, for me, right? If I'm going to drive to Tampa, which is 2 hours away, to see realistically the only baseball team I can see, right? The Rays are basically Orlando's team too. It's going to cost you an arm and a leg to get out there, right? It's 40 extra minutes, right? Because if you're going to Tampa, then you have to tack on about 30, 40 extra minutes. Parking down there is ridiculous. I mean, down in St. Pete, I know that's a nightmare that personally, I just don't even want to deal with. And then on top of that, you're paying $70, $80 for a ticket to sit in nosebleeds when I was personally looking. So I think it's great. I am intrigued to see how long, if it's just for the series. I would assume it might just be for the series and see how much it sells. Honestly, Nick, I think a really good idea, and I want your takeaway on it. The Magic started doing a thing years ago where they call it the fast break pass, where you get 10 games for, I think it's, I don't know, maybe $100 or 90, $80. You don't know where your seats are. You find out what your seats are an hour before, but you get 10 games where, I think that's a very good deal that I think the Rays should really implement something similar where it might be, hey, come to a series, pay, I don't know, $60 for the entire series. You don't get to pick your seats, but you there's a good chance you'll get lower bowl because it depends on how many people are coming to that game, coming to that series. And like you said, I don't know how many people are wanting to see the A's, but if you're a fan of the Rays, you should be going to the game regardless. It doesn't matter who they're playing. It doesn't matter if it's the A's or the Yankees. You should go support the team, and this is the perfect opportunity to do it this weekend with getting into the building for $10.
Yeah, I think it outweighs some of the problems a little bit. Like the body of water, it's there. It's real. Again, I'm the kind of fan that I'm going to go to the games regardless, but I understand there's people that are just not going to, right? Because it is difficult. I'm not gonna ignore that. But for $10, you can't beat that.
It's no brainer.
If you're a beer drinker, $6 beers tonight, by the way. $6 beers. Where can you get that at any sporting event? You can't.
No.
You can't. And they have the nice, beautiful center field section, which I believe they've called the shortstop, which I see Thomas Caspers in the comments. I know Thomas has been I believe I saw you on your photos, Thomas, that you were there in that center field section with the beer. So if you want to give us a little report of how that works, that'd be awesome. So I think that's going to be a really good promotion. To the point of what you said, the Rays did something similar probably about a decade ago. And I remember I did this, the flex packs, where you would pick out like 5 games a year. And I think you could pick more, but I think the minimum was like 5. And it was like it started at like $75, and you would get 5 games of your choice for $75. I did that every year because it's obviously a really good deal. It was pretty cheap. And I think I have to think that it worked because attendance has just been steadily going down within the past decade. And when they did this, by the way, when they did $10 tickets towards the end of the 2021 season, like the last month. They've made the ticket prices very affordable, and the Rays were getting like around 20,000 a night when they were doing it. So it works. And it's not one of those things like in regards to like revenue and money brought in, like the reason why the attendance is what it is and the Rays I don't think are as bothered by it is because it doesn't really put that much into the pockets of Stu. Honestly, like attendance revenue is not that big of a deal to a lot of these teams in Major League Baseball. I don't know what it's like in other sports, but in Major League Baseball, it's really not that big of a deal. So I don't think they've had an incentive to bring the prices down. But at the same time, I'm happy they did it, and I just hope people respond tonight.
I think with them doing it so early in the year, regardless, again, it could be because of who they're playing, and they're like, listen, we want to make sure we're getting people in this weekend series. With them doing it so early, listen, you're getting fans excited. You're the best team in Major League Baseball to date, right? People are excited. I think it's going to work really well. I think you're going to see a lot of people at the Trop this weekend. But moving forward, the excitement's only going to grow. If the team keeps performing, the fans are going to want to show up, and they will pay the money to go see. Now, they're not going to pay an arm and a leg to go see the Rays at the prices that they were at. But if you can keep it reasonable and the team keeps doing what it's doing right now, I mean, shoot, like somebody like me, I want to go see really good baseball. And at the fact of the ticket prices being what they are right now, that gets me intrigued. And I know it's getting fans intrigued in the Tampa Bay greater area.
Yeah, I think they've done a lot of things more so than just the ticket price. They're marketing more. I mean, I've been saying it. Wander Franco is an elite player in the league, or at least he's on that trajectory. Market him, billboards, signs, whatever it is. And I know that sounds really simple, right? But the fact of the matter is those are things that the Rays just haven't done for a long time. They haven't invested in marketing, and I've seen a switch in that. And those things matter. Yeah. Those things matter. People want to talk about the Lightning and the growth that they've had. Success has played a big part in that, but they market really well. And when you go to the game, it's an experience. It's an experience. It's grab the casual fan. I think the Rays need to do that. I think the in-game, take away the game itself. Now, I'm going there for the game, but there's a lot of people that want to go there for an experience. If you're going for an experience for a while, it's hard to like create that, I guess, in the Trop. But on opening day, it felt a little bit different. It did feel a little bit different. They did some things kind of in between innings to kind of keep it exciting a little bit and up the production as well. So I think that's a really good thing, and people are responding to it. I mean, I'm looking at the chat right here.
Yeah.
Everybody that's commenting says they already got tickets for this weekend, whether it's Saturday or Sunday. That's great. That's great. I hope that translates to the rest of the fan base. And that's what I'm saying. There's no excuses for this week. There is zero excuses for this week. If you want to go to a Rays game, $10. Come on.
And then you can't make excuses. The same fans can't make excuses later on saying the ticket prices are too expensive if they didn't go to the game where they were offering $10 tickets. I mean, like, if you're a fan, if the Magic ever offered $10 tickets, I'd be there in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Tonight is going to be a big one because it's Friday night. Like I said, there's a lot of people off work, so a lot of people got some added free time tonight. If I put that game on tonight, now I'm going tomorrow. I'm going to the game tomorrow. But if I turn that game on tonight and I see those blue seats when Zach Eflin's pitching and they do that nice view, if I see those blue seats in the corners completely empty and I see a gate of like 12,000, I'm going to be very disappointed. I'm going to be very disappointed in my Rays fan base.
Wait, did they announce this yesterday? When did they announce it?
They announced it yesterday.
Okay, so I wouldn't be disappointed tonight. I would more so look at tomorrow because, again, if you're giving people a day they should have announced this a couple days ago to give people more time to plan, because again, people might already have Friday night plans. It might be too soon. Like they might, oh, I already have stuff on Friday. I got to push it. Saturday would be the day. If Saturday is not packed, then they have a problem. Then the fans need to be looking at themselves in the mirror and say, what are we doing here? I mean, you can get in the gate for $10. So I wouldn't look into it too much tonight. Tomorrow, though, for sure, you need to look at tomorrow and Sunday. I think it should be pretty packed on Sunday. If I'm being honest, I know it's Easter Sunday, but I mean, I think it's an early game on Sunday.
1:00.
A nice family event to go out, celebrate Easter with some baseball. So yeah, I'd say Saturday and Sunday, look at it more intently than tonight. But hopefully people got the memo, and tonight it gets packed out a little bit.
Yeah, and I think in general too, in regards to attendance, kind of seeing an uptick maybe in the future. It takes time to kind of grow a fan base, and there's no secret that Tampa Bay is a big transplant area. There's a lot of Yankee fans here. There's a lot of Red Sox fans here. There's a lot of Cardinals fans, Cubs fans, whatever it is. This franchise is only 25 years old. So you're finally seeing, I guess, our generation, if you will, that is born in Tampa and has grown up as Rays fans. And pretty soon they're going to start having kids, and then then you kind of have your longevity. So yeah. I think it's taken time to get to that point, but I think we're close. I think we're close to finally getting that new generation of Rays fans, more so than having just a bunch of people here that are born and bred Yankee fans and Red Sox fans and all those kind of things. So it definitely should be good. As Lonnie says here, it says going to the game tonight with some family. Hope you have a good time. They're excited to go. I went solo on Sunday, and it was a great fan experience, and the crowd was great and energetic. All points agree with. I tell you what, the Trop, for all its deficiencies, when that place is packed, it's great acoustically. It is. Have you been in the Trop when it's been packed, Sean, by chance?
No, I have not. So that's why I'm excited, and I hope that this winning keeps happening, because I will definitely be making it down. It's because it's perfect. I can come visit you, which I love to do, and I can also go see a baseball game, and we could plan that out so that we could go together, because I want my first experience in a packed stadium to be a good one. But no, because I'm so scared of going to St. Pete during a baseball game. That's it.
I have to just get to this real quick before we move on.
Oh, I know. I'm upset about the comment, but it's okay.
Well, which comment?
Oh, I don't know. Thomas's comment.
Oh, I see the comment.
Thomas's comment.
Just striking you right in the heart.
Thomas, you don't watch a lot of Magic basketball recently. It's okay.
A new horror franchise in Florida is the Orlando Magic.
The Orlando Magic are a top 10 NBA team in the last 60 games of the season. Just FYI. Just going to throw that out there.
There's 82 of those suckers, so.
That's true. That's true.
A lot of people. See, nobody here that watches the show enjoys Orlando. Nobody. So you're going to sit on an island.
You better get on the Magic bandwagon, folks, because
hey, I love my Magic. I love my Magic.
We're 29 and 27 in the last however many games that is.
Oh, that's great. That's great. But
yeah.
But no, I had to bring this up though, because you said you'd come to Tampa and everything. Now you're coming to Tampa next week. We talked about this the other day.
Yeah.
For your little Taylor Swift adventure, which you're so excited about. I hate to say this. I broke the news to Casey this morning. I said, guess what Sean is coming to Tampa for next week? And she just cut me off and goes, shut up. Don't even tell me. And she knew. She knew right away. And I explained it. I said, Ticketmaster, this whole verified fan thing.
Yeah.
Sean, for whatever reason, was deemed a verified fan.
I think she hates me now.
Oh, I took a picture this morning. She said, send this to Sean. I forgot to send it to you. I'll probably do that right now, but she was giving you the bird. She was giving you the bird in the picture. Very unhappy. Very unhappy.
I'll make sure next Thursday to send you guys a bunch of videos and pictures.
I don't think you should. I think that'll make it worse. I think that'll make it worse. You're on her shit list now.
She's not on mine. I love her. So, I'm sorry, but I guess being a verified fan, there's certain credentials, and I fit those criteria. So I want to get to Richie's comment really quick. If there was a train from Orlando, I mean, I'm going to be honest. I think it would increase the numbers. Now, depending on how quick the train is, if that plays into it. But I mean, if it's an hour and a half train ride, I mean, I would definitely go to at least 3 games a year, if that, depending on the series. And And I know there's a lot of baseball fans in Orlando. I mean, there's a ton of them. So it'll be interesting when that gets built or when that gets done and completed. I think that would also help the Rays numbers, which is probably why they are saying we're going to probably stay here, because they want to tap into the Orlando market, regardless of what anybody says. They need the Tampa Bay market because that's been kind of struggling over the last couple of years with people actually going to the game. But the Orlando market is vast, and you can get a lot of people, even tourists. Like, if they're going to games in Orlando, like a lot of the Magic's fans that come are tourists that come down and want to go see a basketball game. So if they could take a train that's an hour and a half away to watch the Rays and then take a train right back, I mean, you're going to get a lot of business that way.
And that's why I've always said, a stadium in Hillsborough would be so beneficial for the Tampa Bay market, I think. And I think it also would be beneficial for the Lakeland market. And I think it'd be equally beneficial for the Orlando market. Make that drive even shorter, because that's a tough trek. And even the drive itself, even that probably is always going to keep people away from coming, to be honest. I don't blame you. I don't want to make that drive. I don't want to make that drive. But if you put a mass transit situation, you have a train or, the rails or anything like that, I think you'll see a lot of people that would want to come over. Because, again, I was in Orlando. There is a market there for Rays, and there's Rays fans there. I would argue that like you said, Orlando, Lakeland, that's Rays country. It still is, believe it or not. And people that love the team and want to come to the games, and they just, for those reasons, they don't. So,
which then would also help the Tampa market in general, because, again, you might have people like me who's like, I'm already going to be there. I'll stay for the series, a 3-game series, and just make a mini staycation out of it. Yeah.
And when the Rays folks are putting on a product like they are, that's the key thing. This team right now is in, I would say, their boom period as a franchise. Now, I know they've had long-term success here for about 15 years. They've won the 4th most games in baseball since 2008, right? That's great. But in regards to making 4 consecutive playoff trips, and right now they seem on track to get to a 5th. I think they're ultimately going to get there. It's early, but I think they've started out really well. I think they're going to get there and make it 5. This is a boom period for this team, and we've talked about this week a lot. They have a core now that's been here for a little bit, whereas in recent years, you'd kind of get attached to a player, then all of a sudden they're gone. They don't pay them, they trade them, whatever it is, for whatever reason. They've had a changing core for a long time. That's different now. That is different now, and they have bona fide star power, and they just have a fun atmosphere around this team right now, or fun energy, rather, around this team right now. So I think more than ever, this team deserves your support. These guys definitely deserve to play in front of a packed house, so we can get rid of the narrative that's in the national media that the fans don't love the team. That's just garbage. I say that anytime I hear anybody that's outside this state try to lecture me on this fan base, it's nonsense. It's complete nonsense. I say it all the time. The rating, just look at the TV ratings. The Rays, I don't know if you know this, Sean. The Rays regular season games on Bally's do better ratings than the Lightning in the playoffs. The regular season does better than the Lightning in the playoffs.
They watch it. They just don't go.
But you would think, based on the success the Lightning have, the fact that it's packed every single night, the buzz around around down there in Emily and Water Street, you would think that the Lightning are more popular. And I can tell you, they are not more popular than the Rays in Tampa Bay. They are not. And that's why we fight for this so much, because I really want this fan base to be represented well. But again, end of story is you have a great chance as a fan base to shut a lot of people up this week. Series against the A's, the worst team in baseball, go pack the stadium. Go pack the stadium.
Yeah, and go get 3 dubs. I mean, again, you'll be talked about everywhere. I mean, baseball might actually get some play a little bit on the main TV programs. That would be great. It's great for baseball when you have a powerhouse. And listen, I don't think anybody expected the Rays to start this hot, but they're the hottest team in baseball. Plain and simple. They go home, pack the Trop, win 3 games, move on, and the Rays are going to be talked about a lot more next week.
Yeah, let's go 9-0. Let's go 9. Let's just keep making history here in Tampa Bay. I don't even know the last team to start 9-0. I know the last team to start 6-0 was the Orioles in 2016, and the Rays are the second team to do that now. I don't remember the last team that's ever started 9-0. And again, because of the schedule that was put in front of you, they have a golden opportunity to get to 9-0.
Let's go 20 straight. How about that?
F it. Let's just go. Let's go 160.
Why stop at 9?
162-0. What's going to stop it?
Why not?
What's going to stop this team? Injuries. The inevitable injuries. Let's not have 17 guys on the injured list by summer like we did last year, because that's what derailed this team last year. Ultimately, it was 17 guys on the IL. Right now, they're at full strength, which they haven't been at it in a long time. Just a great vibe around this team. I don't know. I have all this confidence. I think they're going to sweep the A's this week. I really do believe that. They look like a team to me that they're just outpowering every opponent from right now for this hot streak. I think they're going to keep it going. I think you get 3. You're putting out Eflin tonight. You got Springs on Saturday, and you got Rasmussen on Sunday. It doesn't get much better than that from a pitching standpoint. I challenge anybody around the league to get any better than that this weekend. So the A's are a deadbeat baseball team. Everybody knows that. Embarrassment to the league. Talk about their issues, not the Rays issues. Talk about the A's issues, by the way. National media. Thank you. So I think they're going to put them away.
Let's do it. I mean, they haven't been great since Moneyball. So, I mean, that's disrespectful. They've been good. They had a good couple years there in the last couple of years. I mean, that's disrespectful. But I'm like you. I think the Rays should be favored in every game, win the next 3. But again, give them that extra motivation. Go to the game.
Yep.
Pack the Trop. And then it's not even just talking about wins. It's talking about, wow, there was a lot of people at the Trop. Maybe they should do this more often.
Yeah, this is a great opportunity for a landmark weekend for the Rays, I guess, if you will. If you can pack this place with the A's in town, that would go a long way, in my opinion, and it would create some buzz with the Red Sox coming in right after, by the way, which is going to be cool. Good comment here from Trop Top 24. I firmly believe there are way more diehard Rays fans than Lightning fans. Despite the sellouts, I think a good chunk are casuals. Every time the Rays are mentioned, the interaction goes sky high. That is true. That is completely true. And I can even tell you on this show, by the way, we get more interaction about the Rays almost as much as the Bucs on this show. I mean, think about that. I mean, the Bucs are always going to be king, but the Rays are pushing second in regards to interaction on this show that we get. It's really the Bucs and the Rays that move the needle here. I think that's true for a lot of people in this in this Tampa Bay region. So I agree 100% with that. When you go to a Lightning game, if you kind of just look around, you can find the diehards, but it's probably like half casuals in the building. It is what it is. To me, that's the thing, though. When you go to a Rays game, you're probably getting the diehards of the diehards, and you're not getting the casuals, because it just hasn't been a fun place to go to. But I think if it's going to remain in St. Pete, you got to find a way to get the casuals there, because the downtown district in St. Pete, which I don't know if you've gotten a chance to really be here. I think you have, right?
I have, yeah.
The downtown area in St. Pete, I would argue I enjoy being out there more than I do downtown Tampa, if I'm being completely honest. If you're into going out, drinking, all that kind of stuff, I think for my money, St. Pete's a better bet. So you got to find a way ultimately, if it's going to remain in St. Pete, to get the casual audience there. Go to the game. It's going to be 2 hours and change now. So if it's a 7:00 game on a Friday night or a Saturday night, you get out at 9. That's prime time for going out. And then you make your way. You walk over to the downtown district. That's what they've got to do. That's what they're not doing right now.
And that's the thing. I'm a casual. Like, for all the Rays fans, I am a casual baseball fan, right? So for me personally, if I was living in Tampa, yeah, there are a lot of things that they need to do to get somebody like me to show up to games. Like, I'm a sports fan, so I want to just go see sports. I love baseball. I like watching baseball. But again, the location, the way that they have it, all with the money, with, sale, how expensive it is to go to a baseball game at the Trop. They know what they have to do, because they've already started to kind of make strides, test some things, see how it works. If they start doing that, you're going to get more people like me who aren't the diehard, I need to see every Rays game, to say, you know what? I'm going to go out to a game on a Wednesday night. I'm going to go out to a Sunday series game or a Saturday game. That if you start doing these things like these $10 tickets, and, hey, I know we don't go for the beer, but $6 drinks, that's great. It's a date night. I mean, that will really increase the people coming.
Hey, when I mention this to my wife, who is one of those people that completely cannot stand baseball, cannot stand going to the Trop. That's my.
I can't imagine
what
she
those
said.
People. And when I told her this yesterday, she goes, I could go tomorrow. That's what she said. That's what you said. So I have to think that, I hope at least that was the reaction to a ton of people around the Tampa Bay region. I hope we get a pack drop tonight, Saturday and Sunday. I hope we get a sweep. Let's make it another perfect weekend. Why stop? Last week was a perfect weekend for Tampa Bay. Why stop this week? Let's go 9-0 and let's get people in the building. But we're going to take our first break here on a Friday. When we return, Doug Waechter, former Rays pitcher, current Valley Sports Rays analyst, is going to join us, and we're going to talk about these Rays on the field, these historic Rays that I'm so excited. I got my Wade Boggs today. I'm sporting my Wade Boggs. I'm keeping it going. I'm going to continue to wear a Rays shirt every day because it just puts me in a good mood for this team. So when we return, Doug Waechter coming up here in about 3 to 4 minutes. Stay tuned.
Guys, are you experiencing those feelings of getting older, lower sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, or you just don't feel like you had the vitality you once had? It's a chronic problem here in the United States. You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well, so do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Look, testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, call the Jeeves Law Group and get the personal attention that you deserve. I made the mistake many, many years ago with going with one of the bigger law firms, the national law firms. And let me tell you, getting a call back from those folks was next to impossible. Weeks and weeks would go by, never get a call back. That doesn't happen with the Jeeves Law Group. Personal attention is what they're all about. When you call the Jeeves Law Group, you will be part of the family. They will represent you in a vigorous and aggressive way against the insurance companies. These larger companies will promise bigger settlements, but it's the Jeeves Law Group that will get you the best results. If you're tired of dealing with these bigger law firms, check out the Jeeves Law Group. Go to jeeveslawgroup.com, tell them JP sent you, get a free consultation. It's the Jeeves Law Group. Scott Jeeves has been representing clients in the Tampa Bay area for over 25 years. Give them a call. It's a free call, 727-894-2929, 727-894-2929, or go to jeeveslawgroup.com. Hey guys, JP here for the Gold and Diamond Source. There is no better place to shop for jewelry than the Gold and Diamond Source. We know that. They are the family jewelers, and they will treat you like family. It's always a fun experience. Just head on over there. You will not find a better selection anywhere in the world. It's a jewelry super center. They've got engagement rings, necklaces, earrings, pendants, chains, and thousands of diamonds to choose from. They're all right there. They don't have to ship anything in. They have jewelry for every price range as well. Guys, if you're looking for some of those baller watches, they have a great selection. They have new and used. You can get some great collectibles there as well. And if you're looking for some more affordable gold and diamond jewelry, you have to check out the Emily collection from Emily Johnson Weintraub. Emily created this collection for people who want to wear and stack elaborate jewelry but don't want to pay the big ticket prices. You got to check this stuff out. The Gold and Diamond Source has plenty of options to accommodate any budget, interest-free financing for up to 5 years, and a layaway program, 20% down and only 6 monthly payments. And this month only, get up to 15% off the March birthstone, which is aquamarine. Like we always say, keep it local, folks. The Gold and Diamond Source, Julie and Steve Weintraub, such great philanthropic benefactors. So let's keep it all local here when we have the opportunity, right? It's the Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here on a Friday, brought to you always by the Jeeves Law Group, Bay Area Modern Medical Center, and the Gold and Diamond Source. And We talked a lot of Rays in that first 30 minutes there. We're going to keep it rolling because we are joined now, happy to be joined by former Rays pitcher, current Bally Sports Rays analyst, Doug Waechter. Doug, how you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing great, Nick. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good. We're trying to hold the fort down here without JP. I don't know if you heard, but he's up in Breckenridge on a nice little ski trip. So he's having a lot more fun than we are, probably.
Oh, just always on vacation. Isn't
He's
he?
always looking for a vacation. And he picks his spots throughout. I mean, he goes in the middle of the Rays off to this historic start, and he says, "Okay, I guess it's time for a vacation." But
yeah, that sounds like JP.
Yeah, it does sound like JP, but he's been watching. He's been in the bars, and he's been watching on his phone. He's joined us for a little bit this week, so we'll get him back next week. But, to the point that I just mentioned, the Rays off to this truly historic start, 6-0, sweeping the Tigers and the Nationals, and we know the competition is what it is, but you got to win these games against these teams that you should beat, and I think that's a testament to what the Rays have done. So your overall thoughts on what you've seen so far the first 6 games of the season?
Yeah, sure. You talk about the competition that they played. Yes, they are in the Detroit Tigers and the Nationals. They're not going to be powerhouses, but also you can't really penalize the Rays for a schedule. I mean, it's not their fault that they're going up against some weaker teams to start the year. It's something they've been able to benefit from, and they're taking care of business. Overall thoughts on the Rays is this is the most complete team I've seen from Tampa Bay in a long time. Pitching, yes, we knew the pitching was going to be outstanding going in. The rotation, in my opinion, especially when Glasnow's back, it is the best rotation in the game, not just because the top 3 starters, but really the 4th and 5th guy. You're talking about Jeffrey Springs and Rasmussen penciled in later in this rotation, who really could be a top-tier starter for any other team. So I do think pitching is obviously going to be there. The bullpen is still a strength. They're just nasty coming out of that bullpen. Defense, we knew the defense was going to be good, but the surprising part, nationally at least, has been the offense.
Yeah.
And now that we're healthy, I think it's just one of those things that this is something that could have happened last year, but there were so many injuries and so many obstacles they had to overcome. We just didn't see them consistently put this kind of output and scoring together. And now that they're healthy, that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, I think that's a good point on the offense. We kind of forget that in 2021, and a lot of this core has remained the same since then, when they won 100 games, I believe they finished second in the league behind the Astros in runs. And then last year, you have at one point 17 guys on the injured list in the summer. They scored 200 runs less last year than they did the year prior, which is astounding. And this year, they're finally healthy. And the one thing that stuck out to me, and we've been a little critical. They definitely said they wanted to go out and try to get, a big bopper from the left-hand side. It didn't work out. And so now they go back to Josh Lowe. They go back to Luke Raley. And those 2 guys have been 2 of their best hitters so far through these 6 games. So what have you seen from Luke Raley and Josh Lowe in particular, in that they've filled that need of what they needed from left-handed power bats?
Yeah, I think they're stepping into a role that, they've been excited about for a while. I think Josh Lowe is coming in and, he's coming off of a year where it was a little inconsistent last year. But that happens to really young players. And the Rays are still very high on him. They think he's a 5-tool player, and they want to give him the opportunity to show off those tools at the major league level. And really, that's what he's doing. He made some nice adjustments in the offseason, lowered his hands, able to help him get to velocity a little bit better, shorten the bat stroke. So he is looking very good right now, looking pretty much locked in, especially with the extra base hits that he's shown so far. And Luke Raley on the other side. I mean, look, this is a guy who has not gotten a chance at the major league level consistently. He's been up, had some time with the Dodgers, had a little bit of time with the Rays, but, hasn't had the chance to really show off his ability yet. And that's what he's getting now, is that opportunity to go out there more consistently and get some at-bats against right-handers. And, his adjustments were similar to what Josh Lowe did in the offseason, where they changed the swing path just a little bit. But Luke Raley did it so that he can stay on the ball a little bit more, meaning he can utilize, center field, opposite field a little bit more. And if you watch his home runs and what he's done so far this year, he's got a lot of power going up the middle into the opposite field. So both of them come in with good adjustments being made, and both of them are really swinging the bat well, which is great to see.
Yeah, and I hope it continues. Definitely been a good find, especially the Luke Raley one, who, like you mentioned, has struggled last year a little bit. And the other guys in the lineup, I mean, we know what Wander Franco is capable of doing. when he's healthy. I'd argue this guy probably, if he continues on this trajectory, he might get MVP votes this year. We'll see. We'll see what kind of a power threat he's going to continue to be 2 through 6 games. But the other guy that I had high hopes for this season, or I was really interested to see, was Randy Arozarena. And I think the World Baseball Classic, I mean, the World Series 3 years ago put this guy on the map, but the World Baseball Classic took this guy to another level in regards to superstardom. And I wanted to see that consistency kind of carry over with the Rays. And, he said that he wasn't studying as much, right? And now he's doing it. How is that paying off for him early on the season?
Yeah, I love where Randy is so far this year. I mean, he's one of those guys who's showing a lot more consistency so far this year than he has really in the past. Before, it's been really, really good or maybe not so good. Nothing kind of in the middle. And for Randy, if he can just find a way to be consistent throughout the year, I mean, he could be an all-star every single season. We know how explosive he is. We know how good he is. It's just bringing out that consistency. And now that he's more educated going in, now that he's working with Chamatola and the front office and some of the analytics department on scouting reports and trying to figure out a little bit more on, tendencies of pitchers and going into at-bats, almost looking for certain pitches and just having a really good idea of what he wants to do. I think it's just making him that much more dangerous. Randy, I would say that he has not been a star really yet on any game, but he has been involved in a huge way on every game, which is exactly what you want to see from him, right? You want to see him as a guy who can make an outstanding grab in the outfield to save a run. You want to see him go up to the plate and drive runners in when he gets a chance, or make a productive out if he needs to move the runners over. Steal a base when he can, and this is what we're seeing from Randy so far. It's more of a mature looking Randy Arozarena, and that is a really, really good sign for the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yeah, and making better decisions, I guess, on the base paths. I mean, right, that was last year. That cost the Rays a lot. Like his immaturity on the base paths. We know this guy, especially with the new rules. It wouldn't surprise me if he steals 30 to 40 again, like he did last year. I think he probably will get there. He looks to me like he kind of has those 5 tools. It's like kind of in him, and it's just a matter of bringing those out. And I think he's on a good trajectory so far. But I'll move over to the pitching side of things, which even regardless of what you're going to get out of this offense, I think we could confidently say this pitching staff is so good that it can carry this team to 90 wins on any given season. It's been as advertised. I mean, Drew Rasmussen, Doug, have you ever seen a number 5? Because when Glasnow gets back, Drew Rasmussen is essentially the 5. I mean, have you ever seen a number 5 starter in the league like Drew Rasmussen? Like, really?
It's incredible. And, it's funny. Drew does so many things so well. It's easy to go out there and look and say, wow, that's a big guy throwing 100 miles an hour, right? That's the first thing that everybody's going to notice, and for good reason. I mean, you don't find guys like that who can carry that velocity throughout an entire outing. Well, Drew does that, all right? Drew's very good. He's a power pitcher. What I think is so great about him is that he throws so many strikes, but he throws them with all his pitches. I mean, this is a dude with a power fastball that throws, the sweeper. He throws the curveball. He'll throw a cutter. He can throw them all for strikes, and he mixes extremely well. He's not just sitting dead red on the fastball up in the zone. So this is a guy that is very impressive and would be at the middle to top end of most rotations. And instead, our rotation is just so deep that, we're lucky to have a guy like that at the back end, because you see a Rasmussen lined up against most other number 5s. I mean, you got to take the Rays in that situation any day of the week.
Yeah, and that's why I continue to just, like, I'm probably a little bit petty when it comes to this stuff, but I see all the Major League Baseball always, I don't know, maybe disrespecting the Rays a little bit. They said they didn't have a top 10. They wrote an article saying that they didn't have a top 10 rotation in baseball. And I'm challenging to find 3, maybe even 1 that's better than this rotation right now. So I always think that's pretty funny. But the other guy, too, is Jeffrey Springs. Got to talk about him. He does it a little bit differently, right? Because he's not throwing 95 to 100 like a lot of these other guys in the rotation are. It's a little bit different. That game against the Tigers, if this was probably in the summer, I'm sure Kevin Cash might have let him go out a little bit and try to chase that no-hitter, but he gets the performance, 6 innings, no-hit baseball, 12 strikeouts. Have you noticed anything different about maybe the mechanics of Jeffrey Springs, or anything hiding the baseball, anything that you've noticed that is allowing him to be a much better pitcher this year maybe than he even was last year?
No, honestly, and that's a good thing. I think this is the same guy that we saw last year, and I think he's just becoming the consistent starter that everybody hopes for, the outstanding starter that he has the potential to be. You know, you look at his stuff and his numbers last year when he was consistently in the rotation, and you could honestly put those numbers up against most, top left-handers in the game. I mean, that's how good he is. That's why the Rays extended him out to a new contract. That's why they want to lock him up, because they see the potential of it. And, he's a guy who honestly, going into the season, he was so good in spring training. And you don't ever really throw numbers around in spring training. You don't really look too deep into what they do throughout, the first 6 weeks of camp. But, I mean, he was outstanding. And his stuff was so good. And it's really the changeup to me. And it's the changeup everybody's going to notice. But the changeup has become such a weapon. I'm going to throw a name out there. Johan Santana is the last guy I saw who really reminds me. Jeffrey reminds me of him. He throws a ton of strikes, works up in the zone, hardly ever falls behind hitters. I think the last time he was out, 18 out of the 19 batters he faced saw a first pitch strike. And when you're attacking the zone like that, and people are wondering if it's going to be a fastball or a Bugs Bunny changeup, I mean that's an unhittable combination. And then you mix in this slider that he's been working on a little bit more. And now you got a 3-pitch pitcher who can go out there and really, I mean, he can be nasty against anybody. He can go right-handed or left-handed, and he has the same ability to get you out, which you just have a really tough time finding. And again, you're talking about a guy who's a number 4 in a rotation that should be a top-end rotation guy.
Yeah, they got 4 guys, Doug, that I can make an argument could be a number 1. 4 guys.
Right.
I mean, you just this doesn't come around often, does it?
Right. Well, if you think about it, for the Boston Red Sox, Corey Kluber started game 1.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's their number 1 going into the season. Now, granted, Chris Sale and there's some other guys that are going to be worked in there and have the potential to be a top rotation guy again. But that's who they went with game 1. And so you look at that and then you compare it with the Rays and you're like, oh my gosh, you could pick any of the 4 guys, and then with Glasnow coming back, and you could throw them out there and every one of them would be the number 1 over there. And so that's like a lot of other rotations. It's just the Rays have built this roster and it's amazing how much talent they have on.
Yeah, and that's why I'm praying that they stay healthy, because right now the product that this team is putting out there, it's so fun. There's such a great vibe around this team right now. You kind of got a core there that's been there for a little bit now, and they seem to really have a good camaraderie. So I'm enjoying it. But I wanted to ask you a couple little questions off the field. We had the Hall of Fame ceremony this past weekend with Don Zimmer, which I thought was spectacularly done. You and Rich talked at length about it, but just for the viewers that weren't able to see that, what kind of your time in Tampa Bay was when Don Zimmer was here, I believe, for about 3 years, I want to say. What kind of influence? So, what kind of influence did Don have on you as a young player?
Don was one of those guys that you just rush to the clubhouse and want to sit down next to him. And if you got something going on, you have to leave, and you're in the middle of a story, you don't leave. Don Zimmer he's a legendary icon in the game of baseball. And, I said it on the broadcast. This is how I would describe Zim to people who didn't really know him, is that baseball has a lot of characters in the game, and a lot of people who, they retire their jerseys and love by a lot, right? But only a few are cherished by every single person in the game of baseball who they are around. And Don Zimmer is cherished. He's a cherished man. He was an amazing man. He's a mentor to so many people. 66 years in the game of baseball. Yep. Never had a job outside of the game, which is incredible. And he starts talking. He would tell me stories about how to overcome adversity, and with Zim, it was always that personal care factor. You knew how many people he was involved with, how much success he was involved with over his career, but it doesn't matter if you were a middle reliever who had 2 days in the big leagues, or if you're, an all-star Hall of Famer who's been around forever. He would treat you the exact same and talk to you and try to mentor you to get you to another level. And he'd do it because he cared about you. He didn't do it because it was his job. And that's what made him different. A lot of times in the game of baseball, people are just making sure that they're staying in the big leagues. They do what the team wants them to do, which is understandable. And it's kind of like they just check the box. They want to make sure they're there if anybody needs them. But with Zim, you know, he was there because he cared about you, and he was there because he loved the game, and it showed.
Yeah, he to me he's just one of those legendary figures when it comes, like, when you think of baseball, for whatever reason, you think of Don Zimmer, I think of Tommy Lasorda, like two guys. I always put those two kind of together as those legendary figures that were in the game for 60 plus years, right? And we had his grandson Bo on leading up to that game, and he told great stories about Don. So I thought that was spectacularly well done, and now I can't wait for the Carl Crawford presentation. I can't wait for the Wade Boggs presentation. I think it's a really good thing that the Rays have done, and excited to hear about the stories. Before we let you go, Doug, I did want to ask you about this. The Rays announced yesterday, $10 tickets to go see the best team in baseball right now. And we had a great packed house this past weekend in Detroit. It seems like the organization is doing a much better job of reaching out to the fan base. So, how excited are you to see potentially a Trop tonight against an Oakland team that we can get some fans in there and keep the energy going and the incentive to come see these stars play?
Yeah, I love it. Look, I love it. I think the Rays are doing everything they can to try to get people out to the games and make it a good environment to go out there and watch, the number one team, in our opinion, in baseball. I mean, this team is playing just absolutely out of their mind. And if you're going to spend a weekend, out and doing something, it's a perfect weekend to go to the Trop because they have Oakland coming to town. They should be able to handle Oakland, at least take the series, cross your fingers, if not take a sweep. And so this is a perfect time to go out there and do it. And the Rays, by going out there and adjusting prices and trying to do everything they can to pack the house, it's perfect timing because there's a lot of hype going around. There's a lot of excitement going around Tropicana and the Rays right now. And, to go see them live is the way to go.
Yep. Yeah. I was there for opening day. It was fantastic. Like I said, it was like a different energy this year. I'm excited. I'm going to be there tomorrow. And will you be on the pre-games this weekend as well?
Yeah, yep. We're going to be working the pre-games. Hollenberg and Matt Joyce is going to be on there with us as well, so it should be a lot of fun.
All right, awesome. We'll be watching. Doug, thank you so much for coming on today and taking a few minutes out of your Friday with us. Thank you.
Okay, you got it, buddy.
All right.
Thanks, Nick.
Doug Waechter right there, Bally Sports Rays. What did he say? First question I asked him, this is the most complete team that he has seen in Tampa Bay. Now, it's early. It's early, Sean, but we got the makings of it. We got the makings of it.
It's exciting. I mean, we just talked like a full hour on it. And by the minute, I'm wanting to now drive down there and see a game. So,
well, there you go. That's what we're trying to. I'm
debating.
I'm trying to get at the excitement level here going for my Rays. I'm trying. I'm doing everything I can. I'm putting the logos out in front for everybody to see. I put my Devil Rays on because guess what? Tonight is a Devil Rays night. The best uniform in Major League Baseball is being worn tonight.
I was gonna say, is it controversial to say I like the Devil Ray stuff more than the Ray stuff? Okay.
No.
I don't want to cause a stir. I've only been on here a week. I don't want Rays fans to hate my guts, but I am really liking the stuff you've been wearing. Just saying.
No. This to me has character. Look at all these colors.
That's
all these beautiful colors. There's some it just screams vibrance. I don't know. I mean, I could use a bunch of buzzwords to describe this. I love it. Tonight, they're going to be wearing the white ones, which I saw on opening day. That's a new thing they're doing, by the way. Every Friday home game is a Devil Rays night.
That's
Every
awesome.
Friday home game. The merch sells like crazy, Sean. It's nostalgia sells. We know that. But this stuff in particular, I see more people wearing Devil Rays stuff than I do wearing the normal Rays stuff right now. I don't think it's close. No offense to what they do now, but you can't convince me this right here is not better than that little TB they have and that little I call it the wimpy. It's a little wimpy sunburst, I guess. But you can't. This is great. So that's not a hot take. That's a welcome take on this show, Sean.
I'm glad because there's always a hot take nowadays, and I'm not too much into the Rays culture, but I love that whole get up. You've worn that get up probably 3 times this week. So,
but it's been a different shirt every single time.
Yeah, you're doing
every time.
Are we sure about that? I think you're just saying that because people are watching, and you might not want to tell people I don't wash my clothes.
Listen, go watch. What was it? The Wednesday show. I was wearing the Shane McClanahan black jersey, and this is different. This one only has 2 buttons up here. It says Rays across it, whereas the other one says Devil Rays. This one's got, where is it? There we go. It's got the patch right there on the side. Beautiful logo. And this is the Wade Boggs one. It's the mesh batting practice one. So this
Nick,
is
you are the perfect fan. I mean, the Rays love how much money that you give them in merch and ticket sales. So, I mean, you're the perfect fan for them right now.
I have, let's just say I've blown my budget on the Rays for the entire year. I've blown that in the last month. I'll put it that way. And I've been told by higher ups to get it in control. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I know which higher up's telling you that. And I would agree with that one higher up. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Let me have my fun. Let me enjoy the best team in baseball, man. Let's go 9-0. But we'll take our second break here on the JP Peterson Show. Good stuff right there with Doug Waechter from Valley Sports. An hour on the Rays. Exciting stuff. When we come back, I have to get into what happened last night with the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Not good.
I don't even know if they even played last night, to be honest with you. But we'll break it all down. What we saw, what Cooper happened, and more importantly, some injuries to this team at the absolute worst time. So back in 3 here on the JP Peterson Show, we'll get into the Tampa Bay Lightning from last night.
Hey guys, JP here for the Gold and Diamond Source. There is no better place to shop for jewelry than the Gold and Diamond Source. We know that. They are the family jewelers, and they will treat you like family. It's always a fun experience. Just head on over there. You will not find a better selection anywhere in the world. It's a jewelry super center. They've got engagement rings, necklaces, earrings, pendants, chains, and thousands of diamonds to choose from. They're all right there. They don't have to ship anything in. They have jewelry for every price range as well. Guys, if you're looking for some of those baller watches, they have a great selection. They have new and used. You can get some great collectibles there as well. And if you're looking for some more affordable gold and diamond jewelry, you have to check out the Emily collection from Emily Johnson Weintraub. Emily created this collection for people who want to wear and stack elaborate jewelry but don't want to pay the big ticket prices. You got to check this stuff out. The Golden Diamond Source has plenty of options to accommodate any budget, interest-free financing for up to 5 years, and a layaway program, 20% down and only 6 monthly payments. And this month only, get up to 15% off the March birthstone, which is aquamarine. Like we always say, keep it local, folks. The Golden Diamond Source, Julie and Steve Weintraub, such great philanthropic benefactors. So let's keep it all local here when we have the opportunity, right? It's the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man, Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com. Insurance coverage can be confusing and expensive. I mean, where do you start? Which companies can you count on to pay out fast and fair? Well, call the great folks at Italiano Insurance. It's a family-owned business. Jeff and Nat Italiano are carrying on the 60-year-plus tradition of giving amazing customer service and giving back to the community through their annual backpack drive for needy students and their support of the local pediatric cancer patients. But it's the customer service that sets them apart. They can shop all your insurance needs and save you big-time money. Don't hop on the internet and waste time looking at some bogus reviews. Talk to knowledgeable agents and not some voice-generated robot. These are confusing times for homeowners, and Italiano's team of experienced professionals can provide the right coverage for every situation: home, auto, business, life. It's Italiano for all the pieces of your life. Call 813-877-7799 or go to italianoinsurance.com.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show with JP on FanStream Sports.
Back here on a Friday edition of the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group and Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Nick Geddes alongside Sean Green, filling in for JP, who should be back on Monday. I'm sure he'll have a lot to discuss of everything he had going on up there in Breckenridge and everything that's going on with the Rays. And, of course, our Tampa Bay Lightning, who 2 nights in a row, this team has been put to bed rather handily. I said yesterday, I shouldn't say rather handily, because I liked the effort the night before against the Rangers. I thought the scoreline was probably not indicative of what we saw. I thought that team, the Lightning that is, controlled the second period. Shesterkin made some really good saves. They battled. Don't think Vasilevsky was great. Last night against a desperate New York Islanders team who's really trying to hold on to that final spot there for the playoffs, we said yesterday with Jason Powers, the goal at this point is to not get anybody injured, right? There's no need. You already are locked into Toronto. You have to go on the road like you did last year. That's no problem for this team, but please, no more injuries. And what happened last night? Well, let's just say Brandon Hagel did not play with an injury. Anthony Cirelli did not play with an injury. Eric Chernak did not play. Now, he wasn't reported as an injury. They might have just held him out for rest, but he did not play. And then during the game, Pat Maroon leaves the game, goes down the tunnel, does not return. And the big one, Tanner Jeannot, very gruesome looking injury to Tanner Jeannot, which you never like to see. And for it to happen with just a few games remaining before the end of the regular season for a team that has largely stayed healthy here down the stretch, it can't be more of a worse time for this to happen. Especially, you want to know what's going on with Brandon Hagel and Anthony Cirelli, but Tanner Jeannot in particular. And remember, the price that Julien Brisebois paid for Tanner Jeannot, giving up all the draft capital they did, the entire National Hockey League said they were nuts to do it. The Lightning are one of those teams that can afford to do it, and we were in favor of the move. He's brought a physical presence to this team. Maybe he hasn't scored as much as you like, just 1 goal. It seems like he's been gripping the stick a little bit when he's been close, but he was starting to become more of a difference maker, I thought, with the forecheck in there on that third line. But now we don't know how long he's going to be out. I think he definitely will. I don't know if he's going to be ready to go. I mean, I don't. This could be a serious injury for all we know. We might find out later today if John Cooper has an update. But this is not good for the Lightning because their strength in recent years has been that depth. And because of the salary cap constraints, they've had to really kind of get rid of or lose some of that depth. They've had to move on from a lot of guys, and they've kind of had to replenish it a little bit on the outside. But it's a concern when you don't have Tanner Jeannot in there. It's a concern that Nick Paul has like 1 goal in like 40 games. Nick Paul has just completely gone no-show here for half the season. And that's your depth right there. And that's dwindling with every second. We don't know what's going to happen Maroon. So, I said, you don't worry about the Lightning going into this series against Toronto. But, to quote the great movie Draft Day, we live in a different world 24 hours ago than we did before. So that's kind of where the Lightning are at right now. I don't know what else. I mean, it's not great. It's not great for the Lightning. And last night, the game itself, they lose 6-1. I thought the Lightning just kind of went on a skate personally last night. It really wasn't all that competitive. I saw the third goal that Kyle Palmieri scored for New York, he walks right in. You got guys who are going down. Nobody's putting a stick out. Nobody's even trying to even get in his way. You give him a free shot at Vasilev or at Elliott rather. He goes top shelf, and the Lightning just nothing going on. Sorokin, when he had to make saves, made them. And again, a desperate Islanders team that's looking to get into the postseason after missing it last year. Gives themselves some breathing room while the Lightning enter another period of scuffling a little bit. Now, Nikita Kucherov, there was a couple things last night. Nikita Kucherov did get his 30th goal for the Lightning. That's his 6th 30-goal season, which ties Marty St. Louis for, I believe, second all-time behind Steven Stamkos. So that was good to see. And speaking of Stammer, it's been a year of milestones for the captain, 1,000 games last night. His 15th season in the league, and now he's played in 1,000 games, showing no signs of slowing down. So that was good to see. But the injuries are the big storyline. So let me kick it out here to John Cooper from last night, who, by the way, we talk about Cooper usually things. That wasn't the case last night. John Cooper is concerned with these injuries. So let's hear from him last night after the 6-1 loss to the New York Islanders.
John, what's your level of concern in regards to injuries tonight?
To injuries? High. Not so much Maroon, but for sure Gino. So that's a little worrisome, yeah.
How do you feel that they impacted your play?
Oh, that didn't impact our play. This is it's National Hockey League. So if you're not, winning this league, you have to do the right things and play the right way. And if you don't, you risk being embarrassed. And we've been embarrassed 2 nights in a row. And if you don't compete in the league, bad things are going to happen. And a staple of ours, especially, we get through the postseason, we've been a pretty competitive team, but we've seen none of that. And like I said, then it becomes embarrassing, and that's what's happened the last 2 nights.
John, last night you said that you want to avoid getting those bad habits. Did you feel like tonight that was, it was kind of starting back in?
Well, we've both games we've tiptoed our way in, and you can sit here and say it was 0-0 tonight after one, but the second period was a byproduct of what happened in the first. So it's it's tough when you got guys are going in there and they're not ready to play or wanting to play the right way, and this is the result.
Did you know injury kind of take some steam out of the bench though? Because we see those 2 goals coming.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Because he's a big part of our team, and he was really coming into his own, and to see that happen, those are tough ones to watch, and so it's definitely our guys, maybe their mindset was a little off after that happened, but we'll have to see.
That was John Cooper after the game last night. He was pulling no punches there for the first things that he said. He called it embarrassing. I has said it as well. And then he said that if you don't compete in the league, you get embarrassed, and we didn't compete. That's a pretty damning indictment on a team, especially one that's won, 2 cups in the last 3 years, been to 3 in a row. We're just a few games away. We got 3 games left in the regular season. And, going after their compete level. It just wasn't there the last 2 nights, and they got embarrassed in New York.
Again, obviously, one team wanted it more. It's weird because it looked like a completely different team than a week ago. I mean, you're playing the same team, blew the Islanders out not even a week ago, and then you come out and have a performance like that. Yes, injuries can play a factor. Obviously, it's the worst time to have injuries if you're a Lightning fan. I think what's disappointment and what was being said is, listen, this is the wrong time to not hit a stride. Like, you have 3 games left in the regular season. You need to be hitting a stride now. You need to be playing your best hockey now. And the Maple Leafs are playing really good hockey. So the injury bug, hopefully we can get some more information here later today. Hopefully the Lightning can go pretty much at full strength heading into the postseason. But I think you got to rest a lot of guys these last 3 games to make sure that you are at somewhat full strength heading into the Toronto series. And again, hopefully, and I say hopefully, they can figure something out in the next couple days to weeks so that that series goes out better for the Lightning and they can play like they have the last 3 years.
Yeah, and I'm not concerned about the Maroon injury, and Cooper said that. At the moment, I'm not concerned about Hagel and Cirelli. It could have just been, maybe they weren't fully 100%. There's no need to put them out there. And Chernak was probably just a rest night for him. But the Jeannot one, and I'm sure you saw the injury. I mean, it's
bad.
It looks horrific, man. I mean, and he's a tough son of a gun, by the way, to be able to, kind of be able. He needed help, obviously, but the fact that he was able to get back on his feet shows how tough that guy is. But without him, And this is kind of the thing we've been talking about with the Lightning is the bottom six. I mean, the bottom six is one of those things when you get to the playoffs, it becomes a big deal in the NHL. Maybe not in the regular season, but in the playoffs, your bottom six, your grinders is a big deal. And my concern with the Lightning, it's not about the high-end scoring. I know they can do that. But these grinders and these guys that are going to play good defensive hockey, because we know the top two lines aren't going to do that for the Lightning. It's just not going to happen. They need the bottom two lines to help out there, especially on the penalty kill, which Jeannot was a part of. I don't have much confidence if they have to ride out with Maroon, Isamont, Belmar, and Perry. If those four guys are making up, I don't know if that's good enough this year because I saw Maroon, Belmar, and Perry get absolutely skated right off the ice against Colorado. And I know Colorado last year was an animal, but to me, I thought that was a precursor for what we saw this season where I thought that combination just wasn't working. And, those guys kind of took turns sitting a little bit. They broke Maroon up from that line. I just think those guys are too slow. And Tanner Jeannot, I thought was going to be a massive upgrade, those guys. And to an extent, I say he was because I think he was more willing to get in there and provide more of a jolt. Maybe if he got going a little bit, he could provide some goals. But, I mean, it's kind of blown up the plan of what the Lightning really wanted to do. I mean, they gave up a lot of draft capital for Tanner Jeannot, a lot of draft capital. And for something like this to happen, I'm sure this guy has to be feeling it. I mean, he's got a chance to play in the I think his first playoffs, and for this to happen, it just doesn't look good. The initial prognosis they said is just it doesn't seem promising. Again, hopefully we get maybe a report today, but the fact that Cooper was pretty blunt and said, what's your confident or what's your level of concern for the injuries? He goes high, and then he uses the words worrisome. It took the air out of the bench. The team just couldn't recover after seeing that, and I don't blame them. This has been a bad 2 days in New York. I mean, this is proof that nothing good happens in New York. Please get out. That's just more proof for that. But so they've got to make the trek to Ottawa on Saturday, and then they get a 2-day break, and they come back, and guess what? A little preview to the first round. They get Toronto at home this coming Tuesday. Can the Lightning get up for that one? I mean, I certainly hope so.
But do you really think they're going to play? I think that you don't want to play the team you're going to play in a playoff series and go full bore for that. I mean, if I'm the Lightning, I am sitting some guys, and I get confidence factor. I mean, if you could beat them right before the series, I mean, there's a little bit of a confidence, but the playoffs is its own different beast. So if I'm the Lightning, you need to come skate free with no injuries. You already have injuries on the report right now. I think regardless of how much I'm sure the players are getting up for that game saying we want to have that confidence going into the series. I think you need to take a step back. And I'm sure Cooper's doing that right now and saying, as much as we want to win this game, we'd much rather win the series over this regular season game that has no meaning.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, we talk a lot about momentum going into the playoffs, and that's kind of been like a thing that people say. I've heard other players talk about this, guys who have played in the league before, that there's not much evidence that the way you play going into the playoffs really matters much. So maybe there shouldn't be as much concern there, but it's just the fact that all these injuries pile up at this time. And I know Chernak, they said, was day to day, but it kind of came off that he maybe was being rested a little bit. So maybe that's what they do for the last 3 games. Maybe one guy on the back end, maybe Hedman takes a break. I wouldn't mind seeing Hedman take a break, maybe for a game or 2 down the stretch here, because that's a guy who was coming off an injury, off-season surgery. I don't even think he's been himself, truthfully, for a majority of this season back there. So I wouldn't mind giving him a little rest, get him fresh, ready to go for the playoffs. Braden Point's on this trying to get 50 goals, so I don't think he's gonna rest. That might be what this turns into, is let's get Braden to 50 goals. To be honest, I mean, that's just what they do. I would love to see it. One of the best players in the league, but to your point, there is no need after what we saw last night. There's probably no need to play these games. I don't want to say at maximum effort, but no need to risk any injuries here down the stretch.
No, and again, the Lightning know, like, they're going to go into the postseason the big kahuna, right? Like, teams are afraid of the Lightning because of what they've done in the past. We've seen that the last couple of years. Doesn't matter how they finish the regular season. Teams are scared to play the Lightning. Yep. And Thomas said it. I mean, the Islanders and Rangers have clear memory of last year. So going into this Toronto series, Toronto knows the Lightning. Toronto, there's always going to be that little guy on your shoulder saying, you know who the Lightning are. You need to knock them off. It's going to be a hard-fought series. But again, regardless of where the Lightning are health-wise, they're the big dogs. And some of these players are still scared of what the Lightning can do. And the Lightning can do it. I mean, they've got the roster to do it. It's just, can they perform when it matters? They've proven that in the last couple of years. They've proven it for a while now. Can they do it again? And that's the question that needs to be answered. And we're going to get an answer in a couple of weeks.
Well, when you got Andre Vasilevsky in net, like I've been saying, you don't count that guy out.
Nope.
You don't count that guy out, especially when it's a series deciding. His shutout streak, I believe, is still going strong, where he's like 5 shutouts in series deciding games. I mean, he's unreal. We know that. And he turns it on when we get to the postseason. But to your point, I mean, we talked about this a little bit yesterday. Toronto is the team that has all the pressure here in this playoff matchup. They have all the pressure. I mean, they are carrying the load, not of just Toronto, but I'd argue they're carrying the load of most of the country. I'd argue that if they probably have the largest fan base, I'd probably say, in Canada. I mean, the NHL headquarters are in Toronto. Everything's in Toronto. The Sirius XM NHL studios, they're in Toronto. Everything is in they haven't won a playoff series since 2004. Okay, we're pushing 20 years since this team has won a playoff series. And when you look at the talent that team has with Matthews and Marner and Nylander, and they add Ryan O'Reilly to that, John Tavares, they added 7 different guys at the trade deadline just so they could beat the Lightning. They have beefed up everything, and they're at the point now where there's no excuses. And if the Lightning pull this off again on the road and beat Toronto, Toronto's probably going to be like, okay, we got to blow it up. We got to blow it up. Something ain't working. We can't keep going back to the well and getting beat by this team or by Boston or by Florida or whoever we're going to have to play because of this playoff format every year. That's where Toronto's at. So that's the advantage that the Lightning kind of carry into this, is there's no pressure. And even if they get into a series against Boston, let's say they advance and they have to play Boston in the second round. Okay, well, Boston has this unbelievable season going, one of the greatest we've ever seen. But the President's Cup, I don't know if the President's Cup, I mean, I don't know if I believe in curses necessarily, but the President's Cup or trophy curse is a real thing. There hasn't been a single team in the last decade or so that's won the President's Trophy and gone on to win the Stanley Cup. It's very hard to do. And like Boston, they got a lot of pressure because...
that's what I was going to say. The pressure on Boston is just as high, if not higher, than Toronto because, again, You're trying to live it up, just like the Lightning had 2 years ago when they were the 1 seed. There's a lot of pressure. And you're expected to win. And when you don't, it kind of creeps in your head of, oh, are we as good as we thought we were?
Yeah.
And we do this.
And if you're Boston, you know this is the last ride for that core. This is it for Patrice Bergeron. I don't think you'll ever see Brad after this season. This is probably it of the core of Patrice Bergeron, Brad Marchand, David Pastrnak, and David Krejci. That 4 right there that has been together for years and has been wildly successful. Now, all 4 of them together have not won a cup. 3 of them won a cup back in 2013, I want to say, over Chicago. But the Pastrnak, since he's been added there, and he's the class of that group, they've gotten to the cup in 2019, weren't able to win, and they've had a lot of early playoff exits since. So there's a lot of pressure on them to win now with the core that they have, because after this year, there's no guarantees what Boston is going to look like. So that's the thing, again, that goes back into Lightning's advantage. They don't have the pressure on them whatsoever. They've already won 2 cups. They've already been to 3, right? Everything at this point now is window dressing as far as I'm concerned. Now, I know these guys have a different mentality. They show up in the playoffs unlike any team I have ever seen. And they prove people wrong when they start doubting them out. And that's why, like I said, all year long, it's so hard to judge this team on the regular season. You know, you have to go off of what you're seeing. And let's be honest, what we've seen for stretches of this season has not been Tampa Bay Lightning hockey. And that's kind of what Richie said here. I'm worried we're just not seeing the same level of play we've seen in years past. This season, Richie, I think you would agree, has been a struggle in regards to finding out the combinations, line combinations, a lot of different guys moving in and out of the lineup. Defensive D pairings has been a big issue. I mean, as of until this past week, we didn't even know who Hedman was really going to be solidified playing with. And that's been a problem, replacing Jan Ruda, replacing Ryan McDonough, replacing Andre Palat. And some of the guys they've counted on doing that, I don't think have stepped up into those roles. I don't. And that's been a problem. But again, the playoffs are just a different animal. And that's why you can't write this team off. I'm not going to do it. Sean's not going to do it. JP sure as hell is not going to do it. Nobody's going to do it in this market. So it is what it is. But again, the boys will be back on Saturday night in Ottawa, another young team that last time the Lightning were up there in Ottawa, they got smacked. We'll see if it happens again. Who knows? But that is on Saturday night at 7 o'clock over there on Bally Sports. All right, we'll take our next break here on the JP Peterson Show. And when we come back, we are going to get a little bit into the NFL and the Bucs. The Bucs yesterday introduced Ryan Neal to the media for the first time. A sneaky signing, as we've been saying, that the Bucs were able to make after Seattle decided not to non-tender him. So we'll get into that. And we're going to go around the league a little bit, do a little exercise. Who improved the most this offseason before the draft, and who disappointed? I have some thoughts. Sean has some thoughts. We'll do that. And then we're going to get to the Masters as well, which was a fantastic opening day. Hopefully the weather stays intact the rest of the weekend. Back in three on the JP Peterson Show here on a Friday.
Insurance coverage can be confusing and expensive. I mean, where do you start? Which companies can you count on to pay out fast and fair? Well, call the great folks at Italiano Insurance. It's a family-owned business. Jeff and Nat Italiano are carrying on the 60-year-plus tradition of giving amazing customer service and giving back to the community through their annual backpack drive for needy students and their support of the local pediatric cancer patients. But it's the customer service that sets them apart. They can shop all your insurance needs and save you big-time money. Don't hop on the internet and waste time looking at some bogus reviews. Talk to knowledgeable agents and not some voice-generated robot. These are confusing times for homeowners, and Italiano's team of experienced professionals can provide the right coverage for every situation. Home, auto, business, life. It's Italiano for all the pieces of your life. Call 813-877-7799 or go to ItalianoInsurance.com. Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man, Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group. Have you been injured in an accident, in an auto accident, truck accident, motorcycle accident, at work, or at a place of business? Well, call the Jeeves Law Group and get the personal attention that you deserve. I made the mistake many, many years ago with going with one of the bigger law firms, the national law firms. And let me tell you, getting a call back from those folks was next to impossible. Weeks and weeks would go by, never get a call back. That doesn't happen with the Jeeves Law Group. Personal attention is what they're all about. When you call the Jeeves Law Group, you will be part of the family. They will represent you in a vigorous and aggressive way against the insurance companies. These larger companies will promise bigger settlements, but it's the Jeeves Law Group that will get you the best results. If you're tired of dealing with these bigger law firms, check out the Jeeves Law Group. Go to JeevesLawGroup.com, tell them JP sent you, get a free consultation. It's the Jeeves Law Group. Scott Jeeves has been representing clients in the Tampa Bay area for over 25 years. Give them a call. It's a free call, 727-894-2929, 727-894-2929, or go to JeevesLawGroup.com. Hey guys, JP here for the Gold and Diamond Source. There is no better place to shop for jewelry than the Gold and Diamond Source. We know that. They are the family jewelers, and they will treat you like family. It's always a fun experience. Just head on over there. You will not find a better selection anywhere in the world. It's a jewelry super center. They've got engagement rings, necklaces, earrings, pendants, chains, and thousands of diamonds to choose from. They're all right there. They don't have to ship anything in. They have jewelry for every price range as well. Guys, if you're looking for some of those baller watches, they have a great selection. They have new and used. You can get some great collectibles there as well. And if you're looking for some more affordable gold gold and diamond jewelry, you have to check out the Emily collection from Emily Johnson Weintraub. Emily created this collection for people who want to wear and stack elaborate jewelry but don't want to pay the big ticket prices. You got to check this stuff out. The Golden Diamond Source has plenty of options to accommodate any budget, interest-free financing for up to 5 years, and a layaway program, 20% down and only 6 monthly payments. And this month only, get up to 15% off the March birthstone, which is aquamarine. Like we always say, keep it local, folks. The Golden Diamond Source, Julie and Steve Weintraub, such great philanthropic benefactors. So let's keep it all local here when we have the opportunity, right? It's the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. Ladies and gentlemen, are you looking to lose weight or just lean up for bathing suit season where there are so many diets and chiropractors and weight loss clinics out there? You don't know where to start, right? We'll start at Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Chris Lugo, PA, and his professional staff will devise a personal plan for you that gets results and will help you keep the weight off. Everybody metabolizes food and supplements differently. Many of these other approaches are designed for the masses. So how's that going to work for you specifically? It's not. Chris will spend one-on-one time with you to find out what works best for you so the weight comes off safely without the use of harmful drugs and side effects. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's rock. This is FanStream Sports with JP.
Back here on a Friday edition of the JP Peterson Show. Brought to you by Chiefs Law Group, Bay Area Modern Medical Center, Golden Diamond Source, Italian Insurance. All those good folks are good sponsors that allow us to keep doing what we do here. It's been a great week of sports talk here. Once again, Nick Eddies alongside Sean Green filling in for JP. We've hit the Rays pretty heavy this morning. We hit the Lightning there pretty heavy. And now we go to the Bucs. And not much general news surrounding around the Bucs right now, other than the fact that Ryan Neal was introduced officially yesterday, spoke with the media over there at $1, and we talked about this signing a little bit the other day. Me and JP did. It's a 1-year deal, officially $2.6 million. That's it for Ryan Neal. This is a sneaky signing, I'd argue, other than retaining Levante David and Jamel Dean. This is the move of the offseason thus far for Jason Licht and company. A guy who took over for Jamal Adams around week 5 last year after Jamal Adams got injured. And he goes on to become Pro Football Focus's number 4 graded safety last year. And for whatever reason, Seattle rescinded their $2.627 million tender offer to him, opted to sign Julian Love from the Giants instead. But this guy was a bona fide stud last year in that Seattle defense. Another one of those more unheralded players that really made a leap last year in Seattle, who had a surprising year. And I listened to him talk yesterday. I found it interesting. He's trained in Tampa in the offseason the last several years. So he already considered Tampa a second home for him. So that was great incentive to come here to Tampa Bay to stay home a little bit. He joins a defense that I think struggled last year in the back end. And I think Todd Bowles, he put a lot of those struggles on the players who were a part of it. You know, when he said stuff like day one systems and day one installs, that we saw continued breaks in coverage with certain guys. And now they've gotten some new blood in there by throwing Ryan Neal there. You pair him, you move Winfield back to his traditional safety position, and you have that duo with Jamel Dean and Carlton Davis. I think it has a potential to once again be one of the better secondaries in the NFL. So here is a little clip, by the way, of Ryan Neal speaking yesterday with the media. Very excited, like I said, to get here and work under Todd Bowles.
It's everything you've been working for. You know what I mean? Like these past 4 or 5 years, it's just been, you know, my first 3 years was, okay, can I scratch a roster? I'm trying to make a roster. I'm trying to make a team. You finally make a team, and then you get your role on special teams, and it was like, all right, let me just do my role here, ball out here, make noise, affect the game. Push come to shove, you start getting little opportunities. So, you know, it's definitely just, it's great, man. Finally get a chance to try to put it all together. All the things that I've learned, all the things that I've been through, grinding it out, undrafted, all of that. I've been through, kind of the roughest way to get here to this point, and it makes you grateful, but it also sets you apart, and I understand that. So I definitely wear that with a badge of pride. You know what I mean? So just being able to come here and finally get the chance, you know what I mean? It's the opportunity. That's what I'm looking for, and I found it. So it's time to take advantage of it.
That I tell you what, Sean, that sounds like a player that's hungry to get in here and I don't think he's going to be given the position necessarily. They're obviously going to want to have competition, but based on what he did last year, he's by far made it to where maybe safety doesn't have to be as big of a need in the draft. He's a hungry player, undrafted, like he mentioned. And Seattle told him, I don't care that you had a standout season and finished 5th in all pro votes at safety. We don't want you.
Yeah, it's surprising. I don't know why. That's the big question mark. I don't know what Seattle was thinking in that sense. Maybe they thought, hey, we're getting, XYZ back, so maybe we can let him go. They tendered him for a reason at first. I mean, there's clearly a reason. I feel bad for him because I think obviously if it would have happened earlier in free agency, I think he would have got a little bit more money. I'm sure a team, listen, I view him around $5 million per season right now. Obviously, he had a hell of a season last year. I think teams want a little bit more on tape to see how he can progress. And he said it. He went from the bottom of the NFL, the bottom that you can get, and he had to work his way up. And he's done that. And I think it's a hell of a signing for the Bucs. I agree with everything you said in regards to him. And I think, listen, I think he, in my opinion, will come out on top in the competition because, again, the secondary wasn't in that back end was not the greatest for the Bucs last year. And I think he showed a lot of things on tape that I really like. And like you said, I mean, people were seeing it around the league. He performed really well, especially taking over for a player of Adams' caliber. And I think, listen, if he has a really good hell of a season, he's going to get paid a lot of money this next offseason. So it's a great signing for the Bucs. It's a low cost, low risk, high reward type of signing. And look, we'll see what happens, but I would be very surprised if he doesn't get a lot of playing time this upcoming season.
Yeah, he said he's very hungry to prove to the NFL. He said, my goal is to show the league that I'm a legit starter. And that to me, that kind of comes off of maybe Seattle didn't view him as that, right? They just found a guy who got really hot at the end of the year. But based on what you saw on tape, how could you not like him? And he kind of reminds me a little bit, and being Bucs fan, this is a good comparison for Bucs fans. He kind of has a Keanu Neal play style in regards to physicality. He can play box to box, but he's much more polished in coverage than a Keanu Neal was. That was kind of the issue with Keanu last year, was he was a little erratic back there. Talking about day one installs, he was typically the guy that I'm pointing to where I'm going, where the hell is Keanu Neal going? Why is he turning this way? He needs to go turn. That was Keanu Neal last year, and I don't think you'll get that out of Ryan Neal. Of note, I mean, he obviously knows Dave Canales, new offensive coordinator. Obviously, didn't really work with him, but still some familiarity there, familiarity to the area. Maybe he just wanted. Maybe he could have gotten more in the market. Maybe he just wanted to come to Tampa Bay. I mean, we've seen. Jamel Dean took a pay cut. Levante David took a pay cut. I think that's one of the things we're seeing is maybe the Buccaneers aren't going to draw the big veterans anymore necessarily because Brady's not here, but I think the stature of the franchise in regards to the NFL, I think, has been put to another level, and I hope it sticks. So far, all signs point that I think it will. So I think I'm very excited about this, and it just, again, we've talked a lot about the quarterback position, and it's not just us saying. I mean, Rick Stroud wrote an article yesterday for the Tampa Bay Times talking about should the Bucs pick Hendon Hooker at 19. And that's a guy that me and JP are very high on. We talked about this months ago. We were talking about Hendon Hooker. And mostly, why is this guy not getting talked about? And we're getting closer and closer to draft week, Sean. And you're seeing it. Everybody's seeing it. Hendon Hooker is going to go in the first round. This is no longer a guy that you can get in the second or third round. He's going to be a first-round pick. I think that he's every bit worth it. For my money, he's quarterback 3. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's a hot take. I think he's quarterback 3. I mean, I think there's still too many unknowns with Will Levis. I think there's still too many unknowns with Anthony Richardson. I think Hendon Hooker checks those boxes. I'm not as concerned about the ACL injury as others. I mean, quarterbacks, players tear their ACLs all the time. Like, not to downplay the significance of a torn ACL or anything, but we've seen it happen. Guys come back, and sometimes they're better, you know? So I'm not as scared away from that. Everybody's scared away from his age. I understand, I guess, the concerns. Where's the ceiling going to go? He played in a very pass-happy offense. I don't need him to play right away, especially if the Bucs were to get him. I think the Bucs are in a position where they can have him sit if they went in that direction. But ultimately, I probably wouldn't think they will because they have some other holes they need to fill. But Sean, what are your just overall thoughts on Hendon Hooker getting all this first-round buzz and a potential fit with the Bucs?
Well, let's be real here. There's no question his tape is better than Levis and Richardson. I mean, his tape,
100%.
what he put on tape is significantly better than those two other guys. The points are valid. I mean, the age, there is a question on age. The big question is how different is he going to be after he comes back from the ACL injury? Because I think personally, whichever team drafts him, I don't think he plays all year. He probably sits the entire year. Make sure he comes 100% healthy when he comes back.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you don't want to throw out your first round quarterback after an ACL tear and throw him out in week 7 and just say, okay, go save us. Like, I think you give him the year, you give him the Patty Mahomes treatment and say, play behind Baker, play behind Trask, see how they operate, see what they do, learn the playbook, do all that, put your work in. I like Hooker. I mean, I think you're in the NFL nowadays. We talked about a couple days ago, right? You're drafting over potential. And I think that's kind of taken over the NFL in the recent couple years where it's, even though this guy put better things on tape, we're going to go off of the guy that played worse, but has the higher ceiling and the higher potential. Right. Now that can bite some people in the you-know-what, because when you draft off potential, it's a 50-50 shot. You don't know what's going to happen. I think Hendon Hooker can be a really great player, but it's really the question of who's going to go first out of those three. I think that we know the top two. It's going to basically come down to which team, if it's a Seattle, who do they view and what are their parameters as to ceiling, as to talent, and as to injury history. And that's what it's going to come down to. So the Bucs are in a bad position in the sense of it's really going to come down to what are those top teams that are drafting QBs in the Colts and in Seattle. What are those teams' parameters? And then the Bucs are going to get the last one out of that bunch. And hopefully the guy that they get is the guy that they wanted all along.
Yeah, and I find this interesting, by the way, just speaking to these quarterbacks, because I think that's the big storyline is where are these 5 guys going to go? I think we all think it's a given who the top 2 are going to be, or is it? Or is it, Sean? Because I see this report today, and this is coming from Pro Football Network's Tony Pauline, that everybody in the Panthers room is leaning heavily towards C.J. Stroud, except one person. One person.
Did they mention it? Because I have a guess.
It's Frank Reich. Frank Reich is the one person, the new head coach, and he ain't banging the drum for Bryce Young.
Yeah,
he's banging the drum for Anthony Richardson. Frank, don't make this more difficult than it needs to be. Don't make this more difficult. I mean, you can have an opinion on who you think's better, Young or Stroud. I probably lean Bryce Young a little bit. I don't have to. I think he's a grown up. I think he is the most polished passer by far. He came into Alabama as the number 1 player in the country as a recruit. And what did he do anything during his time in Alabama to prove you that he wasn't as advertised? I don't think so. He got the Heisman Trophy to his name. Maybe he missed out on the national championship, but it is what it is. I don't think Alabama was as strong last year around him as they were the year prior. But I still think he's an outstanding prospect. I've mentioned multiple times, I think the whole size argument is garbage. I mean, just can you play or can you play? Or can you not play? That's my thing. I don't care if Will Levis is 6'6", 250, and runs a 4.4. Okay, Bryce Young is a much better quarterback prospect than him. Same thing goes for Anthony Richardson. Don't overthink this, Carolina. Don't overthink this. If they picked Anthony Richardson, can you imagine the gasp in the room in Kansas City where they have the draft this year if they pick Anthony Richardson?
It reminds me a lot of when Baker went number 1. I mean, Baker was never number 1 throughout the entire draft process. And there was an audible gasp like, did Baker just get taken? If Anthony Richardson gets taken number 1, then from here on out, for the next however many years, I don't want to hear of, oh, this guy's clear-cut number 1, because then it's not true. Like this year specifically, there are two guys that have separated themselves, not just this year, but for the past couple years from the group. And Anthony Richardson did not show me anything on tape that would prove he is the guy. He has potential. He's got all the intangibles, but we said this, I think, on Monday. He does not have the stuff on tape to prove to me that he's going to be the next guy. And if Carolina, and this is why ultimately I do not think Carolina will take Anthony Richardson, because I don't care what Frank Reich says. Tepper's going to do what Tepper wants to do.
Oh, yeah.
And the Panthers are, if I had to guess, I agree with you. I kind of liked Bryce Young a little bit more. I'm leaning towards CJ Stroud as the weeks and months have gone on. I'm liking what I'm seeing out of him, but Tepper, I know, is in love probably with CJ Stroud. That's probably the guy they're going to go. And you don't know how Frank Reich's going to do. I think he's going to do really well in Carolina personally, but you don't want to start off a relationship with your rookie quarterback as my coach didn't want me. So they better really fix that narrative unless they go with Anthony Richardson. Then the narrative is going to be nobody in the front office wanted me. Only Frank Reich wanted me. So,
and I've seen Frank Reich, by the way, this is quarterback whisper that I don't understand why he has this. Cause I mean, he got one really great year out of Carson Wentz. And I mean, he was dealt a bad hand. I'm not going to lie. I mean, Andrew Luck retired right when he got there. No. It's not great. And he won some games with Jacoby Brissett. He won some games with Phillip Rivers. But the last 2 years, miscalculation on his part and the Colts for trying to make something else out of Carson Wentz. And a miscalculation on thinking that there was anything left in the tank out of Matt Ryan. And those are decisions that Frank Reich was a part of. So I don't know how much he's going to hold weight here, especially if he's the only one banging the drum for him. I mean, ultimately, he's the guy that's going to have to coach him. But I think he loves Stroud as well. He probably just loves Richardson a little more. But I think Carolina would be insane to go Anthony Richardson over any of those two guys. I mean, that would be one of the true all-time shockers, I think, in NFL draft history.
Oh, it would. And I'm looking at a mock draft that came out today from NFL.com. And obviously they have Carolina taking Stroud. They have the Texans taking Young. And then they have the Colts trading up with the Cardinals to take Richardson at 3. The next quarterback taken is 10th to the Vikings, and that's Will Levis. So, I mean, and you could make an argument that the Vikings might potentially take a quarterback.
Yeah.
But there's a potential that you can go to 19, and there's 2 quarterbacks there that have first-round grades.
It could.
I mean, so you might have. It depends on who gets taken at 3, but if Levis gets taken at 3 and no quarterbacks get taken until 19, the Bucs have a choice between, Levis and Hooker.
And by the way, the Bucs, this is not just Stroud writing this, or this is not just me, some guy just yelling about Hendon Hooker, by the way. The Bucs have had him in for meetings. They like Hendon Hooker. Okay? Mm-hmm. And I think what I'm trying to correlate to everybody is the moves that they're making by getting younger and more athletic at certain positions they were weak at. You're kind of one thing at a time making to where these positions aren't as big of a need. They did that with the defensive line. They did that at safety. Now they still need a tackle. They need to figure that out, right? What they want to do. I think they still need another edge, a supreme edge there, because I don't know what you're going to get out of Shaq Barrett off an Achilles injury, and I'm not sold on Joe Tryon yet. But I think what they've done with these moves, they've given themselves the freedom that if one of these guys falls to 19 and they really love them and they see the long-term potential, that they can pull the trigger. Again, that's not me saying that I think they're going to, but they have the freedom to if they want to because of what they've been able to do this offseason.
Exactly. And in this mock, they actually have the Bucs taking Broderick Jones, a hell of an offensive lineman from Georgia.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So listen, and Bucs fans, like I said earlier in the week, if there's 2 quarterbacks there and the Bucs don't take one,
you'd be foolish not to consider it.
You'd be foolish not to consider it. But if they don't take a quarterback there, then the Bucs did not like those guys. They did not view them as a future starter, right. And you can't be mad at it. Like, at the end of the day, if they don't take a quarterback there, they at least considered it. They had them in to discuss with those quarterbacks, and you move on. Because at the end of the day, like you said, Nick, you're getting hell of an offensive lineman, potentially, an edge, hell of an edge. I love some of the edge rushers in this draft. But I think a lot of us fans just assume, they have to go quarterback. They have to take the one guy that's there. Well, clearly there's a reason he's not the number one guy off the board. Clearly there's a reason he's the fifth or fourth best quarterback taken. So if the front office believes he can really develop and become a top guy, then no questions asked. You have to take him regardless of any of the other holes.
Yep.
If you don't believe that they're the guy, then you don't take it and move on. And the fans need to respect that and move on as well.
Yeah, it's still the most important position in the league, and the Bucs are a big question mark right now. There, that's just the end of the story. So that's what I'm saying. I don't know if they're going to take. At the end of the day, I don't think they do it. But I'm just saying they'd be foolish not to at least entertain it. And again, they had Hendon Hooker in the building. I'm just going to point that out. I don't think they've had Levis or any of these other guys. They've had Hendon Hooker, which maybe it tells me that they think that he could fall to 19. That's entirely possible, but I think whatever way you slice it, I think he's going to go in the first round. Yeah, and real quick here, we're coming up here on time a little bit. I did want to do this real quickly because just sticking to the NFL, we've kind of reached the end of the big free agency. So just real quick, Sean, give me a team that you think has helped themselves the most throughout this process so far, and give me a team that I think is underwhelmed with what you've seen so far. Go ahead.
I put 3 on each, but I'll say the one that I think in both of them that I put. This is contingent on the Aaron Rodgers situation, but I think the Jets. It's really hard not to pick the Jets when you get
as a team that's helped themselves.
Yeah, I think they're one of the winners right now. Now, granted, you have to end up getting Rodgers, and I think they will. But in a division like the AFC East, to go from the bottom of the division to now potentially being the tops and being probably one of the better teams in the AFC with the defense they already have in Robert Saleh's defense, and then having an offense that's got some potential pieces, but getting a quarterback like Rodgers, I think they've really set themselves up to really go into next season if they have Aaron Rodgers. Losers, there's really 3. I think they're all at a tie. I say the Titans, Chargers, and Packers. I mean, the Titans, they're a dumpster fire. Derrick Henry's on the trade block. It seems like they're going into a really bad rebuild, and I don't know how long Vrabel's going to be there. I don't know if he wants to stay for that. Chargers, Austin Eckler wants out. He said it'd be the worst thing if he has to play next year. It's the last thing he wants. So I'd say, I mean, you have Justin Herbert and your second best player is Austin Eckler. And then the Packers, not much to say there. You're losing Aaron Rodgers. I don't care what you say about Jordan Love. It's not going to be a good season. So I'd say those 3 potentially are the ones that, really didn't do too much better this offseason.
Interesting. So here's my my team that I had that improved. I don't know if they've improved the most, but I really like what they've done. And this is a team that nobody wants to talk about, and I understand. I don't know if they're not going to be a good team this year still, but I think they're going to take a step forward. And that's the Houston Texans. I think quietly, Sean, Nick Caserio and the Houston Texans have done everything right. I think they got a legit head coach in there. No more of this Lovie Smith nonsense. Just ridiculous. The David Culley's of the world, who was just, they hired him because nobody else wanted the job, and then he overachieved and they fired him because he overachieved. Lovie Smith, this guy has no business being a coach in the NFL anymore. I don't even, anything. And that might sound harsh, but he doesn't have it anymore. So they go get D'Amico Ryans, one of the more up-and-coming head coaches. That factors into what I'm saying. And then they've rebuilt a lot of this offense. They're going to get one of these quarterbacks, probably Stroud or Young. They add Devin Singletary to the backfield next to Dameon Pierce, a nice change of back guy. He's always had a good yards per carry. The problem is Buffalo didn't run the ball much. So I think he's a good little change of pace there to Dameon Pierce. I think Dalton Schultz is one of the better tight ends in the NFL that nobody talks about. And I think Dallas is going to feel that, by the way. I'm surprised Dallas didn't want to bring back Dalton Schultz, especially he got like a 1-year deal for $9 million. Tight end market was really weird this year, but Houston gets a steal there. Obviously, they trade Brandon Cooks. He didn't want to be there. You get some value for him. Jimmy Ward, who's played in a lot of big games in San Francisco in the back end. Sheldon Rankins, a big guy in the middle. They released Mario Addison, so get younger, AJ Cann, some of those other guys. They signed Shaq Mason. That's what I was thinking. They trade for Shaq Mason from the Bucs, who was simply just a cap casualty here, and I think he's still one of the better guards in the NFL, and he'll succeed over in Houston. So Houston's a team. They got some vet, and Robert Woods. Robert Woods, another guy. It didn't work out in Houston. It didn't work out in Tennessee, but I don't think it was kind of a weird fit from the beginning. I thought for Robert Woods, He really excelled in Los Angeles. I think maybe here he's the veteran in that room. I think he should have a bounce back campaign. So I think Houston, who was picking number 2, actually made themselves a better football team. So underrated offseason that maybe nobody's going to talk about, but I'll put Houston. My team that I think underwhelmed throughout this process, they were one of your teams, by the way. It's the Green Bay Packers. For a different reason than what you said.
Well, there's many reasons besides that, but
listen, Aaron Rodgers is a legend of the NFL. He's a Green Bay Packers legend, right? Nobody's going to take that or say any differently. But the way this guy has continued to, I feel, hold the Packers hostage, and I don't care. Maybe the Jets are not giving the Packers what they want. If you're the Packers, you need to just get this guy out. Just get him out. And I know I'm saying that about a team legend who's been there for 18 years and won you a Super Bowl. That's a harsh thing to say, honestly. Just get out. But this guy is just drama personified. He thinks he's bigger than everything that he's a part of. I think he's become pretty unlikable over the past few years. If he wants to say what he wants to believe, I got no problem with that, but I don't have to like what you say. That's where I'm at with Aaron Rodgers. I think this whole thing has gone on long enough. I don't think he's ever wanted to play in Green Bay. He held them hostage last year to get a new contract, $58 million a year, by the way, that he's owed, right? He makes it hard on the Packers to trade him while he does that. He forces them to sign veterans who don't have it anymore, i.e. Randall Cobb, right? When this team, everybody knew this team needed to get younger and faster. And because of the fact that the Packers have not been able to move on from him, guess what they've done in the offseason? Nothing. The Green Bay Packers have signed safety Tarvarius Moore, a long snapper, a backup offensive tackle, and a backup corner, receiver, and safety. That is what the Green Bay Packers have done, a team that missed the playoffs last year with Aaron Rodgers. Oh, and they lost Alan Lazard as well, which they were going to lose anyway because he wants to go play with Aaron Rodgers. So the Packers, for me, get a complete F this offseason. Because don't hold out any more value for Aaron Rodgers. Just get him off the team. Just get the Jordan Love era on, and let's end this song and dance.
But that's 100%. And I mean, the Packers have been doing this for years where they don't really sign anybody of value or anybody that'll move the needle. This season, I 100% agree. I've never been an Aaron Rodgers, big fan. I always viewed Tom Brady as my Lord and Savior in football. And Aaron Rodgers, to me, always felt like I always had the problem of he's won one Super Bowl and people act like he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. I mean, he's got the talent.
The tremendous talent.
When it came to the big games, he never lived up to it. So, yeah, the Jets are getting somebody great. And I think it is the Packers not getting what they want. So it's basically on the Packers. They don't have any leverage. They should have shipped him out a week and a half ago. But in that same token, the dead cap with the Packers is going to be extensive. Yep. And it's going to be not a pretty sight, not just for this year, but for a couple years. So there's nobody that they're going to be able to get. You're going to see a lot of rookies getting playing time and building through the draft. And again, the Packers better hope and pray that Jordan Love is who they think he is, because if he is not, that is at least 5 to 6 years of a bunch of bad football in Green Bay. And I know the fans in Green Bay have been spoiled for many, many, many years, and it's going to be a rough time up in that cold place in Wisconsin.
Yeah, and I think Green Bay, not to completely crap on them like I have, I'm crapping on their offseason. They have a really good defense, right? They've invested a lot of capital in the defense, probably too much. They needed to put that in the offense at some point. But Christian Watson was a local kid here in Tampa who had a really good year last year. I thought Romeo Doubs showed some stuff when he was out there. He got injured late and then kind of faded out a little bit. But there's something there. Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, that duo is back. Aaron Jones is getting a little bit up there. I'm sure they're going to probably give more responsibility to A.J. Dillon. And when you saw Jordan Love in there at the end of the year last year, I saw some zip on his throws that I didn't see the first time we saw him in 2021. Yeah. So I think it's worth a shot for the Packers. I mean, they've gone from Bart Starr to Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. I mean, at some point you're going to hit a speed bump there, and maybe Jordan Love's the speed bump. Maybe he's the second coming. I don't know, but I don't know. I just am not a fan of the Packers continuing to let this go on. I think it's embarrassing to all parties involved. And Aaron Rodgers, I think he's my biggest loser because he's choosing to go to the Jets.
Exactly.
Nothing happens. Nothing good happens when you choose to go to the Jets. And by the way, the AFC, I don't care if Aaron Rodgers goes to the Jets. That doesn't move the needle for me at all. The Jets are not doing anything in the AFC.
That's the thing. Even if they win the AFC East, because there's a chance everybody in the AFC East pretty much got worse. Like the Bills didn't really move the needle.
They missed their window. They missed their window. Bills are done.
Dolphins, they didn't really change anything, and it's really up to Tua. The Pats, I'm not going to get into the Pats. Yeah. But at the end of the day, if Rodgers is making this move to win a Super Bowl, which it's really, I guess, never been about that, there's no chance. There's too much competition.
Nope.
There's way better teams than the Jets. Teams that are again, the Jets had the record last year for a reason. I don't care what quarterback play you have. There is a good roster under there, but Rodgers is not going to be the savior that makes the Jets 12-5 or 13-4 and gets them to the AFC Championship. They'll make the playoffs, sure. They've got a good coaching staff. They've got some good talent. But if we've learned anything, if they play the Chiefs, if they play the Bengals, hell, if Lamar's on the Ravens, the Jets ain't making it past them. They're not that good.
Nope, I'm not buying it at all. Good NFL talk there. We got a few minutes left here. I did want to get to the Masters from what we saw yesterday. And when we came on this morning, we had a three-way tie at the top with Brooks Koepka, Jon Rahm, and Viktor Hovland, which Hovland had a great round going. And then
I haven't even seen the tournament.
Yeah, Jon Rahm. Jon Rahm had a double bogey on the first hole and then finishes 7 under. He is right there with Scottie Scheffler, best player in the world. But the headline to this morning, folks, if you haven't been watching, Brooks Koepka, a 4-time major winner, is 11 under. He's 11 under. He's 4 under through 13 today, and he's 4 shots ahead of Jason Day, who's moved into second place, 7 under, and Hovland and Rahm, who tee off later. So Brooks Koepka, who, if you watch the fantastic swing documentary on Netflix, he's gone through a lot. Injuries the past few years, some mental health issues associated with that. Obviously, he's on the LIV Tour. He won last week here in Orlando on the LIV Tour, so he got a good run of play. It's carried over to the Masters. When he was on the PGA Tour, he was always a killer at these majors when he was healthy. He showed up for the majors. He just really didn't show up for the tour events. So Brooks Koepka proving a lot of people wrong, and a LIV guy sitting atop the leaderboard here on day 2.
PGA's worst nightmare. The tour's worst nightmare. I mean, Koepka is obviously, in my opinion, the best player in LIV. Obviously, he was one of the top, 3-4 players on the tour when he was here. He's having a hell of a early session of the Masters. I mean, hitting the ball really well. I watched the Woods Rahm groups yesterday, and Hovland looked like he was on fire. I would expect that today as well. Did you get to watch Sam Bennett yesterday?
I did. He was one of Sam Bennett made me change the channel and feature on and to focus on him because
as soon as I saw that he was again to be in that situation and to finish the day 4 under, I mean, in your first Masters and as an amateur, I mean, very impressive. I'm excited to watch him today. I think he tees off. I don't even know. They don't have where he tees off, but I'll be watching his group today. But no, I mean, the worst nightmare is if a LIV golfer wins this tournament. And there's some good ones they're usually in the tournaments of old, like where it was like when LIV just started, those golfers were at the bottom of the leaderboards. They weren't playing good. Mickelson's, I think, 18th right now. So, I mean,
yeah, he was 1 under yesterday. He played a lot better than at least I expected him to.
No, so listen, these LIV golf guys, they're playing good this week, or they played good on a Thursday. So we'll see where we're at.
Perfect conditions yesterday too.
Yeah, it was perfect. I don't know what they're going to be like today, but we'll see as the week goes on. There was some good golf yesterday. I like some of the changes that the course made to really, make it easier on some, tougher on others. And I liked how the course played. But we'll see. I mean, if Brooks Koepka wins this tournament, I mean, the worst thing that could happen is all the LIV guys go out on the 18th. I after hearing that, I can't get that thing stuck out of my head of could that potentially happen. You guys, JP, and you mentioned on the show, like if that actually could potentially happen. JP doesn't agree. I think it's going to be almost like a must for Liv if a Liv golfer wins. There needs to be a Liv Golf won the Masters. Everybody else, the tour didn't win it.
I just want to see it just for the drama. Just keep the drama going.
I can't get it out of my head, Nick, and I hate it now. I hate it.
By the way, Phil is 12 through today, and he's 1 under for today, so he's actually 2 under, remaining in 18th place there. You mentioned Sam Bennett. He's through 7 today, and he's even. So he remains tied for 8th at 4 under next to Jordan Spieth. But the leader, look at the top of the leaderboard. The top of the leaderboard is absolutely stacked. It is stacked here for the Masters, which was see Tiger Woods. He tees off at 12:54 today.
Morikawa has done really well too.
Yeah, Morikawa is in the mix. Rory McIlroy not in the mix. I mean, his continues to struggle on day ones at Masters. This is what happened last year. Today he's been worse today. He's 6 through today. Now he's 3 under or 3 over. I believe he was 2 over going in. So not a better day today for Rory. So now he's in a fight to make the cut. Tiger at 12:54. Tiger is at the cut line.
Yeah,
he is right at the cut line there at 2 over. And Tiger, he was fighting it yesterday from the beginning with the short game. That's kind of been his Achilles heel here lately since the injury. Is his short game is just not up to snuff with some of these guys. He couldn't buy a putt yesterday. He got the crowd excited there on 15 and 16 when he drained back-to-back birds to get to 1 over. But unfortunately on 18, he kind of, I don't know if you saw there on that bunker shot where he had to put his, it was an awkward lie.
Foot in it, yeah.
He had his foot in it. It was the injured one, and he kind of like hobbled a little bit, landed in the other bunker, didn't hit a good shot, and he ended up bogeying, so he went back to 2 over. Tiger's not going to be in contention, I don't believe.
He looked like he was struggling. He didn't look, I think, on the back nine, especially walking, he just didn't look like he was doing good. He can't practice, obviously, after the rounds because, again, he's a little bit older now, so he has to go ice up. But
so, as always, enjoy Tiger Woods while you can at the Masters because you just never know when it's going to be his last, and enjoy some of the other amazing golfers that are out there. Again, Brooks Koepka, if you missed that, he is 11 under in first place of the Masters here on day 2. Well, Sean, that'll do it for this week. This has been a great week. Thank you so much, Sean, for filling in this
Thank
week.
you.
You're the new fill-in guy. You got the job.
Let's go.
And a big thanks to Jason Powers for joining me yesterday. A big thanks to Doug Waechter for coming on this week, and Kevin Weiss as well, and Chris Lugo over there on Monday. Hope you all really enjoyed the discussions we had. We'll be back to regular operations on Monday, I believe, with JP coming back from Breckenridge, hopefully safely. And everybody, have a great Easter. Have a great Easter.
Have a good Easter.
Today's Good Friday. Have a great Easter. Have a good time with your families. Enjoy the Rays. Hopefully we come back to a 9-0 baseball team, and we will see you on Monday.